Hey everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Titus. In this video, I'm here to give you guys some basic tips when traveling to Bali for the first time. Now, if you're new to this channel, I'd encourage you guys to click that subscribe button. Otherwise, stick around for the rest of the tips that I'm about to give you guys. Alright, so let's talk about getting there. If you guys are traveling there and you want to pick a good airline, I would recommend getting one of those big airline that actually provides meal, baggages, and also one that would actually go there directly rather than having heaps of stopovers. Obviously, when you guys are traveling, you want to make sure that you're comfortable. In relation to some of the airlines, we got the Malindo airline and it wasn't bad actually. It was quite good. There was in-flight entertainment included as well. Plus, there was quite a lot of room and space because there wasn't much people traveling during that time. So it was quite a good experience. With regards to booking your accommodation, if you guys haven't heard of the Agoda app, it's actually one of the ways that we found good accommodation. Now, if you guys don't want to book online, I reckon if you don't pre-book anything, that's also okay. There is huge competition for hotels there. So if you go to Bali and maybe shop around, then they can give you guys better deals depending on what location you guys are in. Now, the next thing is in relation to money exchange. Make sure that you do not use the side street non-official vendors. They will scam you guys just how they have done with us. We probably got scammed around 800,000 IDR. It's around 80 Australian dollars. There was a point where the second vendor that we went to actually scammed so much that I got so worked up that we ended up going there, confronting the vendor, and they ended up giving back our money that they actually owed us. At the end of the day, it was quite good that we got the money back. However, I just wanted to warn you guys because it's one of the big scams happening in Bali. Make sure that you take someone with you when you're exchanging money, that you count and then recount the money that you have, and make sure that you're holding that money when you're actually getting it exchanged. The best place to go to is those legit booths where there's actually a coverage and probably an air-conditioned area. Otherwise, if it doesn't look legit, it probably isn't legit. Alright, now getting around Bali. When we went there, we actually had a private driver which one of our colleagues recommended, and it was quite good. We had the whole van for ourselves, just me and my wife, and we only got to pay 50 Australian dollars. You know, for 10 hours and getting driven anywhere where we wanted to, it was quite worth it. I'm pretty sure that you can find other cheaper costing drivers there. However, some of them are probably not legit, and some of the stuff they'd probably charge you extra for. If you guys are interested, just send me some details and I'll send you a private driver if you like. Also, make sure that you are careful of using motorbikes and or scooters. Obviously, with regards to driving, if you guys don't have insurance or aren't properly equipped, if something happens to you, then you're probably not covered by your health insurance. Now, in relation to taking a taxi, it may not be recommended, especially if you're traveling around, and Uber is not available in that country. If you do decide to grab a taxi, ensure that they turn the meter on so that they don't cheat you guys. Otherwise, if you guys just grab a personal driver, which I highly recommend, it's even better as well. In relation to internet, SIM cards, and Wi-Fi, make sure that when you drop down by the airport, don't buy there straight away. They're actually really expensive. It's like around 250 to 300,000 IDR, which is around roughly $25 to $35. However, we got a cheaper one for about 60,000 IDR once we drove off past the airport in one of those phone shops for about 60,000 IDR, which is about $6, which is really cheap for around 30 gigabytes for 7 days. So if you guys want to get a bigger deal, make sure that you don't buy SIM cards in the airport. Overall, the service was quite good for the brand that we got, and I'll actually post an image right up here. It's called Tunjung Cell. That was the place where we bought the SIM card from, and the brand was Smart Friend. Image is just up here if you guys are interested with that SIM card. Now, the other thing is, With regards to Wi-Fi, usually all hotels will have them, and oftentimes nearby restaurant will have free Wi-Fis as well, so you might not worry about that too much. But if you guys are traveling and going on a lot of tours, it's obviously really good to get your own SIM card, especially per person. The next thing I want to talk about is with food and drinks. So with regards to food cost, you'd probably roughly be paying around a cheap meal costing around 40,000 IDR, which is around $4 to 290,000 IDR, which is around $29. So overall, if you were looking for something more filling and probably quality, then you would go for the higher end. Otherwise, the lower end doesn't necessarily mean lower quality. It's probably more of their local food as well. This cost would generally be sufficient with serving good and quality food. However, I would highly recommend you trying different restaurants as they have different authentic yet very tasty way of cooking their own meals as well. Their specialty from what we remembered was mee goreng, which is similar to what we have from the supermarket here in Melbourne. They would often mix meats and vegetable to it, which makes it really nice. And you know, the ones that you get in the supermarket is oftentimes just noodles. Now, if you want to prevent yourself from getting sick and or from getting constipated, then in every meal that you eat, I would recommend you guys drinking Yakult. Whenever I travel to any Asian countries, I always make sure that I always get Yakult because it's got good probiotics that can actually kill those bad bacteria in your food. So, highly recommended to have Yakult. I don't know if you guys have heard of the term Bali belly before, which is pretty much eating something that's got some other bacteria that shouldn't be there, then you get full-on diarrhea and vomiting, which I've heard from Bali, and they called it Bali belly. In relation to bottled water, usually hotels would provide 2 free water bottles per day. However, if you guys want to buy those 4 or 8 liter drinks from the shops and take it back to your hotel so you can stay rehydrated, then I would recommend you doing so. With those bottled water, I know that we're trying to save the environment. However, you also need to save yourself in terms of water that is not safe for you to drink and or sometimes even brush your teeth off. So I would recommend you guys using bottled water when brushing your teeth. The next thing is make sure that you watch out for ice in your drink. Always ask if the ice is from a bottled water or tap water. Some of their ice water is actually made from tap water, and if they say it is, then just politely tell them, I'm sorry, I'm not gonna drink the ice. The best advice that I can give in relation to getting hydrated, I've already mentioned about Yakult, but the other alternative is coconuts. Okay, so they have really cheap coconuts there. It's very good and very safe, especially if you're nearby beaches. Let's now talk about tours. Make sure that you compare and get the best prices out of different stalls. If you visit one stall and get a price for whatever tour you want to make, once you go to a second one, they can offer you better deals and prices. So never ever settle, especially if they give you good deals straight away. Still go to another second stall or even a third stall and then compare. And then that's when you guys can decide and go for it, whatever it is. I would even recommend sometimes going for different companies that charge a little bit extra. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's not a good thing. Sometimes it may just mean that there's less people during those trips and probably better quality equipment and or vehicles that they may use. So I would recommend you guys to just shop around, read a lot of reviews as recommended. Another highly recommended thing that you can do is make your own itinerary. So because when we went there, we had a private driver available $50 a day and he will drive us anywhere around Bali. Then we actually only paid additional things for the tours that we did, and they usually don't cost much. So I'd recommend you guys to just tailor your tours based on your own need. In relation to shopping, if you're quite new to the world of bartering and or haggling, well, if you go to Bali, there's a lot of shops. And I would recommend you guys to barter and go as low as you want and as low as you think it's fair that you're wanting to pay for an item. So if an item is, for example, costing you 100,000 IDR as per what they're charging, however you want to just pay 10,000 IDR, always push it back down to what you want to pay for. I remember when we went there and there were these 4 keychains that we wanted to buy just a souvenir, and they wanted to charge us 150 IDR, which is about 15 Australian dollars, which I thought, fair enough, but I thought I'm not really happy to pay that. And then I told them I'm only happy to pay 10,000 IDR, and the guy goes, what? You're only wanting to pay me, which is almost like $1 equivalent. And I thought, yeah, well, this is how much I'm willing to pay for it. And eventually I was like, yep, you know what, if you're not gonna give it, it's okay. I'm just willing to just shop around and look for another shop if you don't want to give me that. And eventually that guy said, all right, fine, I'll give it to you for 10,000 IDR. And that was a pretty good bargain for us. If they keep chasing you for a deal, just tell them, last offer, and if they want to sell it for that price, they will give it to you. Otherwise, if not, just walk away. And if they come and chase you back again and says, yeah, fine, then go for it. Additional things not related to shopping now, this is just in general. So when people often sell you guys stuff and push things to your face, sometimes it can be really dodgy as well when people are trying to sell you drugs, and you don't want to be put in a situation where your life can actually be in danger. So just make sure that you're ignoring them politely and just moving off if they're pushing items to your face. Always read reviews of any accommodation, restaurants, and or tours that you're planning to go on with, so that you're not actually getting scammed, okay? So make sure that you just look after yourself. There's a lot of tourists that always go there, especially if they're coming from Australia, so read those reviews. In relation to your skin, now when we went there, and I'm pretty sure being an Asian, I have really tough skin. However, we developed skin and or heat rash and sunburn, and obviously because it's a tropical country, even though we went there during the rainy season, there was still a lot of water activities and sun exposure that we had. I would recommend that you bring an aloe vera lotion with you, or at least you can purchase it there if you like. So always bring one with you. The other thing is also bring a sunscreen, and preferably a waterproof sunscreen as well, especially if you're gonna go swimming. The other thing that you need to be mindful of is smokers. There's a lot of people that smokes there, and if you're someone like me who's quite sensitive to smoke because I'm asthmatic, just be mindful and be careful, because they smoke pretty much everywhere, in the streets, in the restaurants. And if you're getting a hotel, make sure it's a non-smoker room. Otherwise, it's just gonna be really uncomfortable having that smell everywhere. In relation to tipping or giving tips, now I'll tell you guys a funny story. In Australia, we don't generally tip, so I'm not used to giving tips. However, when I got asked after a tour about, hey, do you have any tips for me? And then my response was, no, I actually don't have any tips for you. You actually did a good job. And instead of actually thinking about the monetary tip, I was actually thinking about, advices, if they were asking me for advice, and I'm like, no tips. If you guys were to give tips, I would probably recommend giving them around 50,000 and or 100,000 IDR, which would be equivalent to around 5 to 10 Australian dollars. I know that you might feel guilty, okay? Just bring the specific amount of money that you want to bring during that trip, so that when your driver is paid for, your food is paid for, and your tour is paid for, then that's pretty much all the payment that's left. And if you don't have any cash on you, then you're not really obliged to give some tips. If you guys stuck through this video until the very end, thank you very much. But if you found this video useful, I would also ask you guys to click that like button just to support this page. Click the subscribe button if you want to see me make more videos like this. Otherwise, if you have already been to Bali, if there's anything else that I missed, please let me know. I would like to know more about Bali because we are planning to return there sometime in the near future. If you guys want to follow our adventure, which we do a lot of traveling as well, please follow me on my Instagram channel, which I will put a link down below in the description. Alright, I will see you guys in the next video. Goodbye and God bless.